Ethan's hands trembled as he twisted the dials on the old brass timepiece he'd found at a dusty estate sale. The shopkeeper had warned him, muttering something about cycles and traps, but curiosity gnawed at him. He set the date to October 13th, 1987, the day his mother had vanished without a trace. With a click, reality folded. The hum of his apartment ceased, replaced by the muffled sounds of an autumn day. He stood on a cracked sidewalk in front of a modest, weathered house, his childhood home. The air smelled of damp leaves and decay. Ethan's mother, a young woman now, sat on the porch steps smoking. She looked up, her eyes clouded with sadness, not recognizing her grown son. "Can I help you?" she asked, her voice a hollow echo of the mother he remembered. His plan was simple: warn her, save her. But as he opened his mouth, a sharp ringing filled his ears. His vision blurred, and suddenly he was back in his apartment, the timepiece cold in his palm. Confused but determined, Ethan set the date again. October 13th, 1987. Click. The world twisted, and he was back on the same sidewalk. His mother looked up, identical to before. The same cigarette, the same sad eyes. Déjà vu tightened around his mind. "Can I help you?" she repeated. He tried to speak, but his tongue felt thick. The ringing returned, more intense. His vision wavered. Back to the apartment. Panic clawed at him. He repeated the cycle, each time the same scene, the same question. Each loop frayed his sanity like a thread pulled too tight. He tried screaming, grabbing her, running away. Nothing changed. On the 100th loop, or was it the 1000th? He noticed something different. A shadow in the window behind his mother, a silhouette watching. He blinked. Back in the apartment, his knuckles were raw, blood smeared on the dials. He turned the timepiece again, unable to stop himself. Click. This time, as he stood on the sidewalk, he didn't approach his mother. Instead, he crept to the window. The shadow moved, a figure, older, hunched. Ethan's breath hitched as he saw his own face, aged and hollow, staring back at him. The old version of himself mouthed something, a silent scream trapped in glass. Ethan stumbled back, and the ringing came, sharp and punishing. Click! Back in the apartment. He couldn't breathe. His reflection in the window wasn't his own. It was older. He was becoming the shadow. As the loops dragged him deeper, time gnawed at him, erasing reason and memory. The truth settled in his bones. He wasn't trying to save his mother. He was the reason she disappeared. In a final loop, Ethan approached her. His voice a rasp. "Can I help you?" And she stood, her face a mirror of terror. She ran, vanished into the woods, swallowed by time itself. Ethan collapsed, the timepiece slipping from his grasp. The world spun, but he remained an echo, a ghost. On the porch, a cigarette smoldered in the ashtray, its smoke curling into the crisp autumn air.